Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As the title suggests, today we will be talking about BC PNP. So I will be walking you through a couple of things. So the first thing is the BC PNP streams, the different options that are available. We'll also be talking about the requirements. We'll be talking about the scoring factors. And last but not least, we will also be talking about how to apply. So stay tuned on this video for more information. So I spoke about Ontario before. Now I'm talking about BC because BC and Ontario are basically pulling a lot of people for their provincial nomination. And so I just want to expose you guys to the different streams that BC PNP has. So the first one, so first of all, it has 5 different streams. And when you get nominated for any of these streams, you'll get 600 extra points added to your express entry profile, which means that it's almost automatic for you to get your permanent residency, pending that everything that you indicated on the nomination application is honest, correct, and you can prove it. So there are 5 different PNP streams in BC. One being the skill worker, which is managerial, professional, and tradespeople fall under this category, and your knock code has to be 0, 1, 2, or 3. The next one is the health authority. So persons that will be working with the BC provincial health authorities is qualified for the nomination. The other one is the international graduate stream, which is one of the reasons why I was talking about the BC PNP in light of no specific CEC draw for international students. But with BC, you can do the international graduate stream. And this is recent graduate from Canadian universities or colleges with degree or diplomas. And your knock code has to be 1, 2, and 3, also 0. The other one is the international postgraduate stream. These are basically for masters, doctoral, PhD students. And so this one, there is a little bit of slight difference with this one, similar to Ontario. You don't necessarily need a job offer for this one as well. And then last but not least is the entry level and the semi-skilled stream. And so this is particularly for workers in tourism, hospitality, and food and beverage. And you can have a knock code in tier 4 and 5. So that covers all the streams. All right. So for BC PNP, we have some very, very basic requirements, which is intention to live in BC, that you have valid status in BC, that you want to live, work, and contribute to them economically. That's just like the base bottom line. But similar to Ontario, you need to make sure that you can pass an English test to prove that basically you're able to speak English, you can communicate in English, and I'll post the different scores here for you to see. And of course, you guys know you can take the CELPIP exam, you can take the IELTS, and you can take the 2 French exams. In addition to that, you need a signed offer letter from a designated employer in BC. So your employer must be willing to sign up a few paperwork for you and to make sure that you have a job offer letter. And as I mentioned before, there are different tiers and basically NOC tiers that you need to basically get a PNP nomination. And so one of the things is to make sure that your job falls into one of those categories that you are qualified for. So you also need to show your qualifications that you are in fact qualified for the job. And if you're, applying to one of those streams, like the international graduate stream or the international postgraduate stream, of course you need to show evidence that you actually completed that Canadian degree, diploma, master's, PhD, whatever the case may be. Another thing is the wages. So similar to Ontario, We'll go into the scoring factor a little bit. The wages and the income, there is a minimum threshold that you must meet. Um, that you must meet in order to get the points or in order to be qualified or eligible for the nomination. So that's also something very important to consider. So these are the general requirements. I'll tag down below though. After this video, you guys can go ahead and take a look at the guide, which breaks down everything for you. But most importantly, I just kind of wanted to walk you guys through the scoring factors that will contribute to you basically being selected from that bucket of people that are applying for the nomination. All right, guys, so now that we've covered the different streams, we've also spoken about the basic requirements for each of the streams. Now we're going to focus on the scoring factors, which I think it's a big deal. But just so you guys know, generally, the scoring factors is basically determine who they pick over who they don't pick. Essentially, who has the highest points they'll select. So overall score that you can get is 200 points. Is available, and that is available based on human capital factors, which is 120 points, and economic factors, which is 80 points. The economic factors, now we are talking about areas within BC, so wherever you live and go to school, you get points for that. And then you also have the wage factor. In BC, the level of education that you've completed also provides you with more points. And of course, the highest on the chain would be if you do a doctoral degree, which you'll get 27 points. And if you only have high school diploma, unfortunately, you won't get any points. For persons studying in Canada, specifically in BC, of course, as you can see on the screen, you'll get 8 points. But if you study outside of BC but still in Canada, you will get some points as well. And for our nurses, dental assistant, early childhood assistants, if you're working in an eligible designated occupation in BC, you will also get some additional points. So that's some good news. So now to the work experience category, which I feel like is a big one just because of the need to have a certain type of job. But in this specific example, they are showing you how years of work experience actually contribute to the point system. And just a side note, I know for express entry for students, it's typical that once you are going to school and you're working, that work experience does not count. However, in the case of the BC PNP, your full-time paid co-op work terms can actually contribute to your nomination points. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about doing BC PNP. And so the point system ranges basically from 0 if you have no experience up to 20 points if you have 5 years of work experience. And you get additional work experience if you have at least 1 year of work experience in Canada. Similar to the Canadian experience class in express entry, here you also get an extra 10 points. And in fact, you get even more points. You'll get an additional 10 points if you are actually working in BC for a designated employer. Of course, as you guys know, it's such a big thing in Canada for the English test, and this is no different. If you can prove that you can pass the English test and the French test, then you will get points. You'll get up to 30 points if you have a CLB level of 9 or more. And of course, if you're below 4, you'll get 0. But you'll get even additional points if you can speak both French and English, and you can take those tests and actually pass them. So, the tests don't really test your English as much, but anyways, you'll just have to pass it. The other one that we want to take a look at is the hourly wage. I am actually just going to scroll this one on the screen so that you guys can take a look, because it really varies from pay scale, because it goes all the way up to 50.5 points, and that's if you're getting $70 and above. That's 6 figures for international students that are just starting. Some persons might not be so lucky, but we still want to anticipate at least, I don't know, 10 or more points. So I'll just scroll this one on the screen so that you guys can take a look at the points. And for the final portion, similar to the one in Ontario, I feel like this is also very funny. If you study or work in certain areas, you get less points than if you are in others. And so, similarly, for BC area of employment, if you're in the Vancouver area, you get no points. But if you're in, I can't pronounce some of these words properly, so area 2, you get 5 points. If you're in any other areas outside of area 1 and 2, you get 15 points. And you get additional points for regional or regional alumni experience. That sums up the area of employment in BC and how it contributes to your scoring factors. So again, they want to move people outside of the cities, outside of the expensive areas, and they want to build up the other cities as well. So that's why, certain cities don't get as much points, just like Toronto and Vancouver. All right, so we've gone through what it is, the requirements, the scoring factors, but now the big question is, how do I apply? How do I get these extra points? How do I take advantage of this um, program? So similar to that of Ontario, you can apply directly on the BC portal. So honestly, you just type in BC PNP and you'll see welcome to BC, and that's the page that you will go to. So welcome to welcomebc.ca, I believe it is. First, you need to register, but bear in mind that you don't need to register for all the program. For international postgraduate stream and the health authority stream, you can skip the registration step, and I'll explain it a little bit more. So register. Once you register, they'll decide if they want to invite you. Then once you're invited for an application, you submit that application and see if a decision is made. Once a decision is made on your application, then you can apply to IRCC for your permanent residency. And that's essentially the aim of this whole thing. All right, so for the health and the international postgraduate stream, like I mentioned, these ones are kind of jobs in demand, kind of, they are needed in BC. And so essentially, they've made provisions for you to skip. So you won't have to do the registration, wait for them to invite you to do the actual application. In this case, if you fall into any of those two categories, you can go ahead and submit your application, and the application can be submitted on the BC PNP online portal. So once again, just for comparison, the Ontario one that I did, there is no fee to register, to basically say, hey, look at my profile, I am interested. There's no fee associated with that. But once they invite you to actually do the application for the skill immigration streams, you will need to pay, drum roll, 1,475 Canadian dollars, and for request for review, you have to pay $500. Yes, not very happy news, but if nothing is happening, this is a great plan B for you to get your permanent residency, especially if you can. I think why not? With PR versus being an international student, of course, you have some additional benefits that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So guys, all in all, I hope this video, though a lot of information, I hope it was somewhat useful and give you some understanding of what the BC PNP is about. As you guys can see, for persons that watched the Ontario PNP and now the BC PNP, they're somewhat similar. However, different provinces has different streams. And so for BC, they have 5 streams for different people in different jobs with different work experience, educational background, you name it. So all in all, I hope this was useful. Until next time, take care.